Microsoft's new Surface Go 2 has a bigger display and better Intel processor. The smaller Surface gets a big hardware bump. Tom Warren, Microsoft's smallest Surface tablet, is getting some important hardware upgrades today in the form of the Surface Go 2. The most significant change is a bigger display, now 10.5 inches, up from the 10-inch panel on the original. That doesn't alter the overall size of the Surface Go 2, but it does reduce the bezels slightly. They're not as skinny as the ones found on the Surface Pro X, but they were certainly nowhere near as big as the original Surface Go from nearly 2 years ago. The bigger display also means a bigger 1920 x 1280 resolution, 220 ppi, while still maintaining the 3:2 aspect ratio Surface products are known for. Inside, Microsoft has also switched up the processor options on the Surface Go 2. The base model, which starts at $399.99, still includes an Intel Pentium Gold processor, but there's also a new 8th Gen Core M3 model. Microsoft is promising 64% faster performance on the Surface Go 2 with the Core M3 processor option, while the base Surface Go 2 includes 4 GB of RAM and 64 GB of storage. The Core M3 model, priced at $629, has 8 GB of RAM and a 128 GB SSD. There's also an 8 GB RAM and 128 GB SSD model with the Pentium Gold processor priced at $549. As always, Surface Go type covers are sold separately, starting at $99. Existing Surface Go type covers and accessories will still work just fine on the Surface Go 2, as the hardware has the same dimensions and port placements. That includes a single USB-C port, the Surface Connect port for charging and docking, and the microSD card reader. Microsoft has also added Studio Mix to the Surface Go 2, which will improve video conferencing and audio calls. We also listen to the asks for longer battery life, explains Robin Sealer, Corporate Vice President of Program Management for Devices at Microsoft. In an interview with The Verge, Surface Go 2 has a larger physical battery and reduced power consumption, so you have up to 10 hours of battery life. There will also be LTE models of the Surface Go 2 at launch, with a consumer model priced at $729, with the Core M3 processor, 8 GB of RAM, and 128 GB of SSD storage. Businesses will also get access to an additional LTE model, with the Core M3 processor, 8 GB of RAM, and 256 GB of SSD storage for $879. The Surface Go 2 will be available on May 12, priced from $399 in the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Germany, Austria, UK, Ireland, France, Switzerland, Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, Italy, Spain, Portugal, Poland, and Japan. www.theverge.com